The text was supposed to go to her sister. Just 9 words. 9 words she had rehearsed for 3 years, every single night. Lying next to a man who counted her breasts to make sure she was still afraid. He thinks I left. I'm at the bus station. Help! She hit send. She didn't check the contact name. She couldn't. Her hands were shaking too hard. Her left eye was already swelling shut. And somewhere on the other side of Seoul, a man named Kang Ji-Hoon was about to read those words and feel his blood turn to ice. Because Amara Williams hadn't texted her sister. She had texted the most dangerous man in South Korea. And the moment Kang Ji-Hoon saw her name on his screen, the name no one had spoken to him in 7 years, he whispered something that should have been impossible. Amara? She thought she had escaped a monster. She didn't know she was about to be found by a king who had been searching for her for 7 long years, a king who already knew her name. Welcome back, beautiful souls. If you're new here, this channel is where pain becomes power, where the broken find their crowns, and where black women finally get the love stories they deserve. If a story about a woman texting the wrong number and finding the right man speaks to your heart, hit that subscribe button right now and ring the bell, because what's coming next, you don't want to miss a single second. And before we go deeper, drop a comment below. Where in the world are you watching from? Lagos, London, Atlanta, Toronto, Seoul. I want to know who's riding with us tonight. Because tonight's story is for every woman who ever ran in the rain with nothing but a cracked phone and a prayer. Now, let's go back to that bus station. If you're enjoying the story so far, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me where in the world you're watching from. I love hearing from you. Amara Williams was 28 years old, and she had spent the last 3 years of her life learning how to disappear inside her own home. She knew the exact angle to tilt her face when Marcus came home drunk, so the bruises would land on her cheekbone instead of her eye. Because eyes took longer to heal, and Marcus didn't like explaining things to her colleagues. She knew the exact moment to laugh at his jokes. Not too early, not too late. She knew which floorboard creaked outside the bedroom door, and she knew that on Tuesday nights, when he played poker with his brothers, she had exactly 4 hours and 17 minutes before he'd come home checking her phone. What Marcus didn't know, what he'd never bothered to learn, was that Amara had been saving 40,000 won at a time, hidden inside the lining of an old winter coat she never wore because Marcus had bought it for her, and Marcus liked when she wore it. And Amara had decided 3 years ago that she would freeze in the snow before she let that coat touch her skin again. Tonight, she was wearing it, not because she had forgiven the coat, but because the lining held 3 million won, a fake passport, and a one-way ticket to anywhere that wasn't here. The fight had started over salt. That was the thing about men like Marcus. The fight was never really about the thing. It was about reminding you that he could turn the air in a room into glass anytime he wanted. Tonight, it was salt. Last week, it was the way she folded his shirts. The week before that, it was the fact that she had laughed at something on television without asking him first what was funny. Amara, come here. She froze at the stove. She closed her eyes. She steadied herself. She knew that voice. Every woman who has ever loved a man like Marcus knows that voice. It's the voice that says, I have already decided to hurt you. I am just choosing the shape of it. She walked into the living room. She didn't run. Running made it worse. She had learned that in year 1, you walk. You keep your hands visible. You don't make him chase you, because chasing is the part he enjoys. He was sitting on the couch. He looked calm. That was always the worst part. The calm. Did you talk to your sister today? He asked. No, Amara said carefully. Don't lie to me, baby. He stood up slowly. He was holding her phone. She had deleted the messages. She always deleted the messages. But Marcus, you see, Marcus had installed something on her phone 6 months ago. Something that backed up every text, every call, every photograph, to a server only he could access. Amara didn't know this yet. She would learn it in approximately 14 seconds. He turned the phone around. The screen showed the deleted messages. Restored. You told her I scare you. Marcus, You told her you wanted to leave. He smiled. It was the worst thing she had ever seen. Baby, we're going to have a conversation about loyalty. What happened in the next 30 minutes does not need to be described in detail. You know what happened. Every woman watching this knows what happened. There was a slap. There was a fall. There was the sound of a body hitting hardwood floor. And there was the sound of a man washing blood off his knuckles in a bathroom sink, while the woman he claimed to love crawled to the bedroom on her hands and knees. She pulled the coat from the closet. She walked out the front door while Marcus was still in the bathroom, and she ran 6 blocks in the rain before she realized she was barefoot. A taxi driver, an older Korean man with kind eyes who asked no questions, drove her to the bus station and refused to take her money. "Go," he had said in broken English. "Just go, daughter. Go." So now she was sitting on a metal bench under fluorescent lights at 11:47 p.m., with a swollen lip and rain still in her hair, trying to type a message to her sister Kemi, who lived in Busan, who had been begging her for 2 years to leave, who would come for her, who would always come for her. But her hands were shaking too hard. And when she finally hit send, when she finally got the words out, she didn't notice that the contact at the top of her thread was not Kemi. It was a contact saved 7 years ago, under a name she had forgotten she ever knew. The contact was saved as J.H. Blueheart. The text sent. The delivered notification pulsed once. Now, before I tell you what happens next, and trust me, what happens next is going to make your jaw hit the floor, I need you to do something for me. If you're feeling Amara's heart right now, if you've ever been the woman in the rain with shaking hands and nowhere to go, hit that like button. Not for me. For her. For every woman who ever pressed send and hoped someone, anyone, would answer. Let's go. 47 floors above the city of Seoul, in a building whose true ownership did not appear on any public registry, Kang Ji-Hoon was finishing a phone call he did not want to be having. The man on the other end of the line owed him 300 million won. The man on the other end of the line was about to learn that Ji-Hoon had already decided what to do about that. "You have until sunrise," Ji-Hoon said quietly in Korean. "After that, I cannot help you." He ended the call. He set the phone down on his desk. The phone immediately buzzed with a new message. Ji-Hoon was not a man who was often surprised. At 34 years old, he ran the largest private security and logistics syndicate in East Asia. His name was spoken in 3 different governments. His silence was worth more than most men's words. He had not been surprised in 7 years. Not since the day he stood in the rain at JFK Airport in New York, holding a bouquet of white peonies, watching the gate close on a flight he had begged a woman not to take. He looked at his phone. The screen showed an unknown number. A new message. 5 words. "He thinks I left. I'm at the bus station. Help." Ji-Hoon did not move. He read the words once. Then again. Then his eyes traveled, slowly, deliberately, to the contact name at the top of the message thread. A name he had not allowed himself to speak in 7 years. A name he had paid 4 different private investigators to find. A name he had given up searching for 18 months ago, when one of those investigators had told him, "Sir, I don't think she wants to be found." The contact name on his screen was Amara Whiteheart, Kang Ji-Hoon, the man who had ordered executions without blinking, the man who had stared down rival bosses with mountains of money and not flinched. Kang Ji-Hoon sat down in his chair very slowly, as if his legs had stopped working, and he whispered her name into the empty office. Amara. His hands were shaking. He hadn't allowed his hands to shake in 7 years. Now here's the thing Amara didn't know. Here's the thing she could not have known. Sitting on a metal bench in a bus station with a swollen lip and 3 million won sewn into her coat lining. The contact saved as J.H. Blueheart in her phone, the contact she had typed into by mistake, was not a stranger. It was the number of the man who had once asked her to marry him, the man she had said no to, the man whose flowers she had refused to take with her on the plane, the man who had spent the next 7 years building an empire so vast, so powerful, so absolutely unshakable that the second she ever needed help, from anywhere on earth, he could be there in under 12 minutes. He had built it for her. He had told no one, not a single soul, not even himself. Most days, he had built an entire empire for the slim, impossible chance that one day, somehow, she would call. And tonight, she had. Ji-Hoon stood up. He was already moving. He grabbed his coat. He was already on his phone. "Get the car," he said in Korean. Now. Bus terminal, Central Seoul. 3 minutes. His assistant appeared in the doorway, alarmed. Sir, you're meeting with Minister Park. Cancel it. Sir, the minister... I said cancel it. The assistant immediately bowed and left. Ji-Hoon typed a single text. His thumb hovered over send. He hesitated, just for a moment, and then sent it. 3 words. Don't move. Coming. Amara saw the typing bubble first. She thought it was Kemi. She held her breath. Her sister always typed long messages, paragraphs of love, of come home, come home, come home. The reply came in. It was 3 words. Don't move. Coming. Amara stared at the screen. Kemi was in Busan. Busan was 300 kilometers away. There was no way Kemi could be coming. She typed back, fingers trembling. Kemi? How fast can you get here? The typing bubble appeared again, disappeared, appeared. The reply came. This isn't Kemi. Amara's stomach dropped to the floor of the bus station. Wrong number. She had texted the wrong number. She had told a stranger that she was at a bus station, that she was running from a man, that she needed help. She had handed the worst night of her life to a phone number she did not even recognize. She started to type an apology. Her hands could barely hold the phone. But before she could send it, another message came in. Amara, stay where you are. I'm 12 minutes away. She stared at the screen. The stranger had used her name. She hadn't given him her name. She scrolled up, her one and only message in this thread. There was no name attached. Nothing. He had no way to know her name. Her hand started shaking for an entirely different reason. She typed back very slowly. Who is this? How do you know my name? The reply came in 5 seconds. You don't remember me. That's okay. I never forgot you. Don't move. I'm coming. Stop right there. Because what's about to happen in the next 2 minutes is going to rewrite everything you thought this story was. If your heart is pounding right now, if you need to know who this man is and how he knows her, drop a comment below right now. Tell me, do you think Amara should wait for him or run? Comment wait or run. I'm reading every single one. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Hit that bell. Let's go. She should have run. Every single instinct she had screamed at her to run. But Amara had been running for 3 years inside her own home, and somewhere deep in her bones, in the part of her that was still 19 years old and brave and unafraid, something was whispering, wait, wait, this is the one, wait. She did not know why. She would understand later. She would understand when she saw his face. A black SUV pulled up outside the bus station. 3 vehicles, actually, men in dark suits emerged, calm, professional, not aggressive. They formed a perimeter without anyone noticing. From the middle vehicle, Ji-Hoon stepped out. He was not running. He was walking, that specific, terrible calm of a man who had rehearsed this moment 10,000 times in his dreams. He entered the bus station. The fluorescent lights washed over his face. He scanned the room and stopped. She saw him before he saw her, and the world stopped. She was sitting on a bench 30 feet away, in a coat too heavy for her body, with a swollen lip and rain still in her hair, and she looked up, just looked up, and her whole life cracked in half, because she knew him. She knew him. She stood up very slowly, like she was underwater. Ji-Hoon? The moment she said his name, 7 years of waiting collapsed into one breath. He closed his eyes, just for a second, like he was praying. He crossed the bus station in 12 long strides. He did not run. Men like Kang Ji-Hoon do not run, even toward the only thing they have ever loved. But he was in front of her in 12 strides, and then he stopped 3 feet away, because he did not know if he was allowed to come closer. He had not seen her face in 7 years. She was thinner. Her hair was different. Natural curls now, not the relaxed style she had worn in college. There was a bruise blooming across her left eye, and a cut on her lip that had stopped bleeding but was still swollen, and Ji-Hoon's hands curled into fists at his sides, because somewhere in this city was a man named Marcus, and Marcus was going to learn tonight what it meant to put his hands on something that belonged to Kang Ji-Hoon. But he kept his voice gentle. Hey, hi, how are you here? She whispered. How did you texted me. I texted Kemi. Ji-Hoon, I haven't seen you since. 7 years. I know. She covered her mouth with her hand. The tears came now. She couldn't stop them. I didn't know it was your number, she said. I have you saved as JH. I forgot. I forgot I even had it. He nodded, just nodded. His eyes were wet too, but he didn't let it fall. I never changed my number, he said. I always thought maybe one day. He swallowed hard, looked away, looked back. Amara, who hurt you, she didn't answer. She just looked at him, and the silence said everything. Ji-Hoon nodded slowly. His jaw tightened. He turned to one of his men and spoke quietly in Korean. 5 short words. The man nodded and immediately left the building. Can I take you somewhere safe? Ji-Hoon said, turning back to her. His voice was gentle again. You don't have to come with me. I can take you to your sister. I can take you to the airport. I can take you wherever you want to go. But please don't sit in this bus station alone tonight. She looked at him for a long moment. The man she had said no to 7 years ago. The man whose flowers she had refused. The man who was now standing in front of her with an empire at his back, asking permission to help her. Why are you here? She whispered. Because you texted. You don't owe me anything. I left. Amara, he said very quietly. I would have come if you texted me wrong number on a Tuesday. I would have come if you texted me a recipe. I would have come if you texted me one single letter. I have been waiting for you to text me for 7 years. She broke. Just broke. She covered her face with both hands and sobbed. He moved closer, slowly, and when she didn't pull away, he gently pulled her into his arms. They stood in the middle of a bus station at midnight. The world disappeared. If you're hooked on this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Your support means everything and helps me bring you more emotional stories like this one. 7 years ago, Amara Williams had said no to a marriage proposal in a New York airport because she was 21 years old and terrified, and Kang Ji-Hoon had been on his way back to Seoul to take over a family business. He could not yet explain to her, and she had told him she could not move to a country she did not know for a man whose work she did not understand. He had not fought her. He had told her, then go. But know this, wherever you are in the world, if you ever need me, all you have to do is call. I will hear it. She had thought it was a beautiful, sad goodbye. She had not known it was a vow. She had not known that for 7 years, Kang Ji-Hoon had built, quietly, ruthlessly, brick by brick, an organization with eyes in every major city in the world. Not for power, not for money. He already had both. He had built it so that he could keep his promise, so that the moment she ever needed him, from any city, on any night, in any kind of trouble, he could be there. Tonight, she had needed him, and he was there. The penthouse was on the 47th floor. Amara had grown up in a small apartment in Atlanta with 2 sisters and a single mother who worked 3 jobs. She had never in her life been in a room with floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over an entire city. She stood in the middle of the living room, still wearing his coat, and she did not know what to do with her hands. There's a guest room, Ji-Hoon said. It locks from the inside. Only you have the key. He handed her a small silver key. Their fingers brushed. She flinched, not from him, from the memory of being touched. He saw it. He understood. He stepped back immediately, giving her space. There's a bathroom attached, he continued. I had clothes brought up. They should be your size, but if not, we'll fix it tomorrow. There's food in the kitchen. The doctor will be here in 20 minutes to look at your eye and your lip. I don't need a doctor. You do, he said, softly but firm. Please, let me. She nodded, just nodded. She was too tired to fight. She turned to walk to the guest room. Stopped. Turned back. Ji-Hoon, what do you do? What is this place? Who are you now? He looked at her for a long moment, not because he didn't have an answer, because he was choosing between the answers. Tomorrow, he said. I'll tell you everything tomorrow. Tonight, just rest, please. She nodded again. She walked into the guest room. The door closed softly. Ji-Hoon stood in the empty living room, and for the first time in 7 years, he let his face fall. He sank slowly onto the couch, put his head in his hands. His shoulders shook. Just once. Just once. She had met him in a bookstore. He had been 27 years old and visiting New York for what he called family business, and she had been a junior at Columbia, looking for a copy of Khalil Gibran's A Prophet for a poetry class. He had been holding the last copy. She had asked him, politely, in the way black women learn to ask politely for things they need, if he would consider letting her have it. He had handed it to her, without a word, and walked away. She had laughed. She had thought he was rude. She had not known he had handed her the book because his English was not yet confident enough to flirt, and he had been afraid that if he opened his mouth, he would say something stupid in front of the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. She had found him an hour later, sitting in the bookstore's coffee shop with a cup of black coffee and a different book, and she had walked over to him and said, "Thank you for the Gibran. Let me buy you a coffee." He had stared at her like she was a miracle. They had talked for 4 hours. By the end of the night, he had told her, in his careful, formal English, that he believed in fate, and that fate had clearly decided he should miss his flight home tomorrow. He had stayed in New York for 6 weeks. By the end of those 6 weeks, Amara Williams was in love for the first time in her life, and Kang Ji-Hoon had told her 3 things. 1, that his family business was complicated and dangerous, and that he was the only son, and that he could not walk away from it even if he wanted to. 2, that he loved her more than he had ever loved anything in his life, and that he was going to spend the rest of his life loving her if she let him. 3, that he wanted her to come back to Seoul with him, to marry him, to build a life with him. She had said no. She had been 21. She had been afraid. She had not understood his world, and he had not been able to fully explain it to her, and the not understanding had been the deal breaker. He had kissed her one last time at JFK Airport, given her a single white peony, and told her, "If you ever need me, for anything, for any reason, on any night of your life, call this number. I will hear it. I will come." She had cried. She had thought he was being romantic. She had not known he was making a vow that he intended to keep until the day he died. In his office, on his desk, for 7 years, sat a single dried peony, pressed flat between 2 glass slides, framed, kept where he could see it every day. Morning came. Amara woke up in the guest bed. Sun streamed through the window. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then she did. She walked out into the kitchen, wearing the soft clothes Ji-Hoon had laid out. He was at the kitchen island, making coffee. He was wearing a soft black sweater, jeans, no suit. He looked younger, like the boy from the bookstore. "Hey," he said, "you slept 12 hours. I was starting to worry." "I haven't slept 12 hours since I was a child," she said quietly. He handed her a cup of coffee. 2 sugars, splash of milk, the exact way she took it. She looked up at him, startled. "I remembered," he said. She held the cup, looked at him, set it down. "Ji-Hoon, I need to know what you are now. I need to know what kind of place this is, who those men were last night, what you do for a living. I need the truth." He nodded. He had been waiting for the question. He gestured for her to sit at the kitchen island. He sat across from her. "My family, for 4 generations, has run an organization in Korea. We started in shipping. We expanded into private security. We expanded into things that are not on any official paperwork. My grandfather built it. My father expanded it. When my father died 7 years ago, 3 weeks before I met you in that bookstore, I became the head of it. I am what your country would call organized crime. What my country calls something more complicated. I am not a good man. Amara, I want you to know that before you decide anything." She was very quiet. "Have you killed people?" "Yes." "Innocent people?" "No." "How can you be sure?" "Because I make sure. Because I have rules. Because the men who work for me know that those rules are not negotiable. I am not a saint, but I am not what your husband is." She flinched at the word husband. "He's not. We're not married. He calls me his wife, but I never said yes to him either." Something in Ji-Hoon's face shifted. A small, terrible relief. "Okay. Ji-Hoon, last night, when you saw me, you whispered my name. Before I said anything. Before you even reached me. How did you know it was me from a text?" He looked down at his hands, looked back up, because I had your number saved. For 7 years? For 7 years. Why? He looked at her, the full weight of 7 years in his eyes. Because I told you that day at JFK, wherever you were in the world, if you ever needed me, I would come. I meant it. I have meant it every single day since. I built everything I built so that I could keep that promise. I never stopped waiting for the call. I never stopped hoping. And last night, when your name appeared on my phone, I thought maybe... He stopped, couldn't finish. You thought I was finally calling, she whispered. Yes. She was crying now, quiet tears. June, I'm so sorry. No, he said gently, immediately. No, don't be sorry. You were 21. You did the right thing. You were not supposed to leave your country and your family and your life for a man you barely knew with a job he could not explain. You were right to say no. I have never, not once, been angry at you for saying no. Then why did you wait? He looked at her, just looked at her, because I never met anyone else. She was undone. She covered her face. He didn't move. He gave her time. 2 days later, Ji-Hoon's office. Amara was sitting on a leather couch, reading a book. She was wearing soft clothes. The bruise on her eye was fading. She was, for the first time in 3 years, safe. His assistant entered, bowed, and handed Ji-Hoon a folder. Ji-Hoon opened it. Read. Closed it. Amara, can we talk? She looked up, set her book down. Marcus Bennett. Ji-Hoon said, 36 years old, works in finance. Has put 2 previous girlfriends in the hospital. Charges dropped both times. He has been looking for you for 48 hours. He has hired a private investigator. The investigator has tracked you to this building. She went pale. He's coming. He's downstairs. Her hand started to shake. He reached across the couch, carefully, slowly, and covered her hand with his. You don't have to see him. You never have to see him again. I can have him removed. I can have him handled. I can have him on a plane back to America by tonight. But I will not do anything you do not want me to do. She looked at him. The fear was still there. But underneath it, for the first time in 3 years, there was something else. I want to see him. Amara, I want him to see me. I want him to see that I am not afraid anymore. I want him to know that I left. And I want him to know who is standing behind me when he sees me again. Ji-Hoon studied her face, then nodded. Okay. The lobby of the building. Marcus entered, angry, sweating, righteous. He looked like a man who had rehearsed his apology for 2 days. He looked like a man who did not yet understand what was about to happen. He saw Amara across the lobby. He started walking toward her, fast, hands already raised in fake apology. Baby, listen, I know you're upset. I know 2 of Ji-Hoon's men stepped in front of him. Calmly, professionally, Marcus stopped. He looked confused, then annoyed, then, slowly, afraid. Who the hell are you? From behind Amara, Ji-Hoon walked forward. He stopped at her shoulder. He did not touch her. He just stood there. His presence was the entire point. Marcus stared at him. Who the hell are you? He asked again, his voice cracking this time. Ji-Hoon did not answer. He just looked at Marcus, the way a wolf looks at something small. Marcus. Amara said, calm and clear, I'm not coming home with you. Not tonight. Not ever. I am filing for everything in my name to be returned to me. I am pressing charges for the last 3 years. I am giving the police every photograph I took, every recording I made, every hospital record I kept. I have been documenting you for 2 years. His mouth fell open. He didn't know. Amara, you can't. I can. I am. And if you ever try to find me again, the man standing next to me will know about it before you finish dialing my number. Marcus looked at Ji-Hoon, looked back at Amara, tried to find anger, found only fear. You think this guy is going to protect you forever? You think you can just replace me? Ji-Hoon spoke for the first time, quietly, in English, with the careful precision of a man who had been waiting years to say these exact words. I am not replacing you, Mr. Bennett. I was here first. Marcus stared, didn't understand. 7 years before you. I will be here 7 years after you. You were a mistake she survived. I am the man she is going home with. Ji-Hoon turned to his men. Escort him out, he said in Korean. Make sure he leaves the country. Tonight. Marcus was taken away, not roughly, but absolutely. He looked back once. Amara was already turning away. She didn't watch him go. Later, rooftop terrace of the penthouse. Sunset. Seoul glowed below. Amara stood at the railing. Ji-Hoon walked up beside her. Didn't touch her. Just stood. I don't know what comes next, she said. You don't have to know. You just have to be safe. Everything else, your career, your healing, your life, we can figure out one day at a time. There is no rush. I have already waited 7 years. I can wait 7 more. She turned to look at him. And if I'm not ready, if I never can, then I am still your friend, he said gently. I am still your protection. I am still the number you call. The promise was never conditional. Amara, the promise was just a promise. She looked at him for a long, long moment, and then, for the first time in 3 years, she reached for someone instead of flinching away. She took his hand. He looked down at their joined hands like she had just handed him the world. Ji-Hoon. Yes. I think I'm calling now. He closed his eyes. He squeezed her hand. He did not cry, but a single breath escaped him, like he had been holding it for 7 years. I hear you, he whispered. Amara Williams had thought she was running from a monster. She had not known she was running toward the only man on earth who had been waiting his entire adult life to catch her. A wrong number, a whispered name, a vow kept across 7 years of silence. Sometimes, beautiful souls, the most dangerous mistake we ever make is the one that finally saves our lives. If this story moved you, if you cried, if you felt something break open in your chest, please, please, please hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. And ring the bell so you don't miss a single chapter of what's coming. Drop a comment below. If you were Amara, would you have stayed? Would you have run? And if a man like Kang Ji-Hoon was waiting for you on the other side of a wrong number, would you have the courage to let him in? I'm reading every single comment. Until next time, beautiful souls, take care of your hearts. And remember, the right person doesn't always walk into your life to the front door. Sometimes they answer a wrong number. Thank you so much for watching until the end. If you love this story, check out the other videos on your screen now. I think you'll really enjoy them. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. See you in the next story.